for so many of us throughout the pandemic, we've been enjoying nature and getting outdoors. And one way we've been doing that is by hopping on our bicycles. The last year at this time, it was hard to find a bicycle. They were being sold out. But did you also know that in 2019, more than 49,000 bicyclists were injured here in the United States involved in motor vehicle crashes? And sadly, over 800 people died. To talk more, let's bring in Dave Duffield. He's the treasurer for Ride of Silence. Dave, great to have you with us here.
Thanks for having me, Ronnie.
For those not familiar with Ride of Silence, give us a little bit of background.
Well, it was started back by Chris Phelan back in, 2003. A good friend of his, Larry Schwartz, was killed by a school bus mirror. And after that, he sent a couple of emails around to friends who obviously forwarded them on to other people. And over 1,000 people showed up for a ride about, 16 days later.
Wow, that really is amazing. And since then, this has grown internationally.
Yes, it's worldwide. I don't remember exactly how many rides there are this year, but it's all over the globe.
So if we could talk about that, did you have the ride last year with the pandemic?
We did. There weren't very many people, but yes. And then actually, I think some of the news channels covered it as well.
So with that, when is the ride going to be this year, and how many people do you anticipate will participate?
It will be May 19th at 7 p.m. And this year, we might get quite a few more because a prominent cyclist whose name escapes me at the moment, Frankie Andreu from Dearborn is going to be there.
That's good to know. For those that don't know, Frankie actually used to be a major cyclist. In fact, he rode in the Tour de France, was on Lance Armstrong's team. I've interviewed him once or twice. Really, just a really nice guy. And to think that his career started right here in our own backyard. And what have you seen as a result of the pandemic? Are more people cycling right now?
Oh, it's amazing. The path that I live very close to, the airline trail, when the pandemic first started, there were so many people out there. You had to be very, very careful riding your bicycle. They had walkers, all kinds of people.
Dave Duffield with us here on the MegaCast. He's the treasurer for the Ride of Silence. And how does it work? I know there are several different rides, even here within the state of Michigan.
Yeah, basically they're all over the state, but basically there's no cost. You just show up. We encourage family members who've lost somebody to participate. And it's basically you ride quietly. The route, it's like 10 miles an hour and 10 miles maximum.
What is the typical length?
It's usually 12 or 10 miles or under.
So for people that aren't experienced cyclists.
Exactly. You don't have to be a pro cyclist to ride this ride. That's not what it's about.
And with that too, Dave, if I can talk to you, how many have you participated in now?
Oh gosh, a good friend of mine started the ride. I remember, he's a fellow a friend, and he's also my bike club. He wrote it he did it in 2006, and Chris Phelan, the founder, tells me that I was the very first one to have one here in Michigan. I'm not so sure that's true, but anyway, it's gone on for quite a few years.
What was it like for you though? Emotional?
It was. I mean, I've been hit by a car, not injured. My bike was injured, but I mean, I really feel for people that have lost their lives or lost family members to this. It's we have to learn to share the road. The state law says we have every right to be on the road as a car does, but you need to be careful.
So with that, Dave, can I ask as well, because it does appear, even here, I'm in the Keiko Harbor area. We don't have, other than the trail, you have the West Bloomfield Trail, but even riding on the road, we don't have a lot of bike paths. And is this something that really needs to be addressed in the state of Michigan as well as across the nation to make these bike paths so that cyclists feel safer?
Well, it's as you probably already know, Detroit has dedicated a lot of bike lanes in on roadways in Detroit. Um, Todd Scott's he's very active in the Detroit cycling scene. But yes, the Michigan Trails and Greenways Alliance has worked for years to connect trails so that you can actually get on a trail and go somewhere. But yes, I mean, it's if you ride on the road, you need to be careful. But obviously, a trail is ideal because you don't have to share it with the cars.
And with that, though, Dave, we have so many people, more so now than ever, I think, on bicycles, so many kids as well. Um, Bike safety, we learn it when we're little kids,
Right.
but then it just seems to go away.
Yeah, League of Michigan Bicycles is working on that, and it has been for years. They produce a little booklet, what every bicyclist should know, and that's distributed all over the place. You can pick one up free. But yeah, it's you're right. The cyclists need to understand how to ride, and that's one thing I stress during my ride is, don't miss a teachable moment when you come up upon a rider that's wearing black clothing. They're on a bike that doesn't fit them. They're obviously just using this bicycle for get to their job or whatever. Remind these people, no, wear bright colored clothing, have lights. That's the only thing that's going to keep you alive.
I don't know how many times I've almost hit a cyclist just because of what you just talked about, especially
Absolutely.
at dusk.
Yes, that's one of the most dangerous times actually, because reflectors and lights at dusk, it's kind of everything blends in, whereas at night you actually see a blinking red light very well. But yeah, dusk is a dangerous time.
Dave Duffield with us here on the MegaCast. He's the treasurer for Ride of Silence, an event that is coming up here later in the month. Really, the desire is to recognize those that have lost their lives um, on their bikes and being involved in accidents, but also safety, bicycle safety. It does seem that when it comes to wearing helmets, it's becoming more of a routine now than when I grew up. When I grew up, no
Yes.
one wore a helmet. Now, pretty much most people you see have a helmet.
Yes, thankfully. Yeah, one thing that always bothers me, I see a young family and the kids will have helmets on and mom and dad won't. And I want to come up. I have to bite my tongue because I want to say to them, where are you going to be when you get a closed head injury and you're at the mentality of a 5-year-old? Where are your kids going to be then? Wear the helmets like you make your kids wear their helmets. But yeah,
One
you're
of
right. They're much more widely used now, which is a good thing.
And can you talk a little bit about the helmets? Because it's not just enough to put a helmet on; it should fit properly as well.
Absolutely. I've seen a lot of kids, with the helmets hanging on off the back of their head. And it's like the chin strap should be tight enough where if you open your mouth, you can feel the helmet pull down on your head. It should be that tight.
Dave Duffy with us here on the MegaCast. He's the treasurer for the Rite of Silence. And with that, Dave, you kind of mentioned people riding bikes that aren't the right bike for them. What do you mean by that?
Basically the frame size or the seat adjustment. You see a lot of people, like a lot of people will want to put their feet on the ground when they're on the seat. I can understand that, but when they pedal, you'll find that their legs are not extending all the way like they should be. You get a lot of mechanical advantage. It's okay to have if you're not on the seat, you're on the top bar to have your feet on the ground, but yeah, when you're on the seat, you really shouldn't have your feet have your feet be able to touch the ground.
I will say, and just some of the things you mentioned, I already know I'm doing things wrong. And can we just clarify here? Do you ride with traffic or
Absolutely.
against traffic?
Absolutely with it. The state law requires you to ride with traffic. Riding against traffic is actually against the law. And a lot of people like to do that because they can say, oh, I can see the car coming. However, if a car hits your handlebar on that side, it'll turn your wheel into the car. And if you're riding with traffic, if a car does happen to hit you, it will send you away from the traffic lane.
So, and I think when we grew up, we were taught, like back in the day, you ride against traffic.
Right. Right.
So these things change as more science becomes available. If a sidewalk is available, should they ride on the sidewalk?
Well, yes, I ride on the sidewalk very often. When we were going to work, I would ride sidewalks mostly to work. However, with sidewalks, you also have to be very careful because, as you know, most people do not stop at the stop line in an intersection. So if you're crossing, say, a road, and you have the right of way, you've got to be very careful that people see you, and that when you cross over to the other sidewalk on the other side. It's funny
So
because we teach our children to ride on the sidewalk, and it can be very dangerous to ride on the sidewalk.
yeah, and plus these, when we come to those sections of the road too, and you have the bushes and they're tall, and
Yes.
you don't see around the corner.
Yes.
And so with that, Dave, too, tell us more about, you're a part of a writing group. Is it better if I'm going to go out? Should I make sure I'm with other people?
It helps because you're more visible. A lot of drivers, all they're looking for is cars. And I know motorcyclists also have the same problem. If their vehicle, if the thing you're riding isn't big enough, people don't tend to notice it, which is too bad. But that's the world, that's reality.
So with that too, when we're looking at riding out on the roadway, especially around here, I can think of like a middle belt, and they kind of come up the hill or around a corner. Sometimes it can be hard if you come around and there's a cyclist, and then all of a sudden you have to hit your brakes. What advice do you give to drivers? And if there are cyclists, should the cyclists get over to let traffic pass,
Well,
or people just need to slow down?
the law reads, ride to the right as far as practicably, it's a funny word, practically possible, but you also should not put yourself in danger about coming too close to the curb as well.
It's so hard because every roadway is different.
Yes, yes. Some have
Um,
nice shoulders, some don't.
right? Yeah. And with that too, Dave, if for drivers, what is the biggest time or the most dangerous time that some of these accidents happen? Is it early in the morning, late at night?
A lot of them happen, as you say, at dusk and into the night.
And so with that, we should remind people too, obviously, as it starts to get a lot warmer out, we see so many more people taking advantage of that warm weather and getting out on their bicycles. Hey, can I ask you while you're here, your thoughts on some of the electric bicycles that we're seeing pop up a lot of places? I know we have them a lot on the trail as well.
Yeah, they've gotten hugely popular, and at first, if you're a dyed-in-the-wool cyclist, a lot of people are, come on, man, that's cheating. However, with a lot of our older cyclists, if it gets them back out on riding, hey, I'm all for it.
Right.
And
And
but some of them are pretty fast too, so you got to be careful.
right. And with that too, we show some people still use their bicycles as a mode of transportation.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah.
So, Dave, give us an update. How can people find out more about the ride that's coming up? And also, do they need to sign up? Is there a fee? Give us those details.
There's no such fee, no fee at all. You can just go to the rideofsilence.org, and there's the web page, and tells all about it, all the different locations here in Michigan and across the United States and worldwide.
So, again, the dates here in Michigan.
Is May 19th, the third or second Wednesday in May, and it's at 7 p.m. I ask everybody to be there at least 6:30.
And with that, too, we want to remind people that if you are going to participate, please make sure, especially at 7 o'clock at night, that you wear a helmet. And and I would imagine that you're also recommending people have all the safety gear as well.
Yes, lights as well. Absolutely.
I will say one of our biggest pet peeves on the trail, people on bicycles and they don't ring their bells to
Right.
let you know that they're coming up behind you.
Right. If you don't have a bell, what you should say is passing on your left, so they know that you're coming around them.
Right. It's a courtesy. Plus, for us, when you're walking your dog, you never know if they're going to lunge.
Exactly.
And,
Exactly.
you don't want to, just like you don't want to have an accident, with a motor vehicle. We do know there are people that have biking accidents as well. I had a friend, he went over the front of his handlebars broke a few ribs. It was not a pleasant experience. So safety measures all around.
Absolutely. Yeah, out by me, we also have, there's a horse farm out west of me, and occasionally you'll see a horse out there. You don't want to spook them either on your bicycle.
No. So too, can you talk a little bit too? Is it more dangerous sometimes too for people? Because I know a lot of people like to take advantage of going out into the country. But sometimes I worry about that because the cars can come out of nowhere and they tend to speed on the country roadways.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I have some friends in my club that do a lot of gravel riding, so they'll go out and on country roads and stuff. And there again, it's just a matter of being visible, using lights, and I use a rear view mirror on my sunglasses, so I can see what's coming behind me. In fact, I recommend everybody use them because you know if when you hear an engine noise, you can look back and see, oh, are they going to squeeze me here? And then you can make a fast exit off the road if need be.
So with that, Dave, too, have you noticed more accidents because people are wearing headphones and they don't hear that traffic?
That's one of been my pet peeves for years. I worked with MDOT years ago to refurbish the I-275 path. And, obviously along I-275, the traffic noise is significant. And you come upon people and you even yell on your left and they don't hear you. And that's a big problem. I mean, your hearing is very, very important when you ride a bicycle. You can hear the cars coming. If you've got earbuds in, you can't.
So with that, Dave Duffield with us here on the MegaCast. He's the treasurer for Ride of Silence. It is an annual event that takes place not only here in Michigan, but across the country and across the world. It started in 2003 as a way to honor Larry Schwartz, who was killed by the mirror on a bus, school bus, and it has continued to grow. And really one of the aims is to recognize those that have lost their lives and have been injured, but also to talk about safety awareness. So Dave, we so appreciate your time here on the MegaCast.
Ronnie, thank you.